What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the Hot Seat. I am your hostess with the mostest, P. Coffee Brown, and we're super excited to be in the building. What's going on? We got some people in the building: TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Clubhouse. We got everybody on deck tonight. Everybody is on deck. So, welcome in to this week's edition of the Hot Seat. So excited about this discussion tonight about relationships, but from an interesting spin. Before we went live, Taylor was talking smack. So, welcome in. We got Jason Hendrickson and Jason Williams in the building tonight. And of course, Taylor May Speaks is with us. What's going on, fellas?
What's up? What's up? How
That's
you doing?
good. I'm amazing.
Good.
So
Good.
what's
I
up?
am so amazing. So, guys, make sure you guys have your social media communities all engaged and plugged on into the experience tonight because this is gonna be a dope conversation. So tonight, guys, we're gonna get right into it. You guys have seen our amazing panelists in times past. So Jason Hendrickson is a phenomenal clothing line producer. Like this dude has produced a phenomenal clothing line. And I don't know why he's not rocking his own brand
What are you
today.
talking about?
Got
This
on-
is my own brand.
Dude, not the hat, dude. What's the hat?
Uh,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's that? Normally he has on his hat, matching his sweatshirt. He always matching and be vibing and stuff. But tonight he didn't. I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, we ain't gonna talk about him. Then we got, of course, Taylor Made Speaks. Toxic Bay himself is Taylor Made Speaks. If you have not met Taylor, you're gonna be in for a whole vibe. He was going off before we got started, y'all, like acting absolutely bananas. I was like, hold that for the show. Yeah, because you're feeling some type of way right now. You're feeling some type of way. And then Jason Williams is a musical genius. So is Jason Hendrickson. Both of them are phenomenal musical geniuses in their own right, doing some fantastic things. Jason Hendrickson has an album dropping on
Friday.
Thursday. It's Friday?
Friday. Yeah.
It's gonna be on Friday. When is the voting stop for it? What are you up for? Phenomenal, the best artist of the world. What is if I rule the world? What is it again?
It's like 7 different award shows, but this one coming is the Rhythm of Gospel Awards for. I'm nominated in 7 categories: Song of the Year, Male Artist of the Year, Video of the Year, a couple of other
That's
ones.
what's up. That's
Yeah.
what's up. Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
incredible. Absolutely powerful. You're nominated for everything of the year. I'm just every man of the year, period. And Jason Williams is a bass player that's stupid, like on another level of stupidity. Like that dude is nice on the bass. So with my vocals, Jason Williams on that bass, Jason Hendrickson producing, I think we might be able to do something.
Okay.
I think we
Sounds
might
good.
be able to do something. And of course, we can't use Taylor for that.
Oh, Taylor don't sing?
He gonna be toxic. No,
I will come up with a toxic lyrics.
no. We don't need no toxic lyrics. He'll come up with something crazy, okay? For real, for real. Let him deal with the Toxic Bay Ministries, okay? He can be in the audience. He gonna be in the audience. So tonight we're talking about something interesting. And the reason why I asked the fellas to come on board with us tonight, because this is an area where women are challenged. And, studies have shown that this is an area where women are challenged, even from a biblical perspective. We're not going to go Bible tonight or anything like that. But even from a biblical perspective, this is an area where we're admonished to behave in a specific way. So when you look at it from that perspective, when you look at it from the natural, you look at it from a spiritual perspective, and it's like a well-rounded kind of thing going on. You got to look at it and say, well, maybe this is something that we need to work on. So we're going to talk about what respect looks like in a relationship. What does respect actually look like in a relationship? What is the things that you can do so that your spouse knows that they're respected? So it says, and of course, the greatest book ever written says, wives, see that you respect your husbands. Husbands, love your wives. So if he admonishes us to respect our husbands, then that means that that's something that we may struggle with as women. So when you go back to Proverbs, it starts talking about the issues with us not respecting our husband and what that looks like, about the rooftop situation where a man would much rather stay outside than to come home if he has a disrespectful partner. So we want to talk about that tonight. Now, I'm not sensitive, but I am sensitive. So hopefully they don't push the sensitivity button. But when it comes to respect, see how you do it. The bear is poking. See, that's and Jason Williams is a literal bear. Like this dude is super tall, and this dude is a bear, like in real life, for real, for real, for real. But on a serious note, no, very seriously, this is something that we have to look at from a perspective of maturation and the role that we really want to play in our spouse's life. What role do you really want to play? Do you want to play that role to where he don't ever come home because every time he enters the house there's some kind of conflict going on? Or do you want to play the role of he can't wait to get home? Matter of fact, he can't focus on nothing else but getting back to his address. Which role do you really want to play? So we're going to talk about this. We're going to unpack this and listen to the fellas as they express their thoughts about this. So we're going to start off with Toxic Dave because he was feeling heavy levels of toxicity before we came on live. And Jason Williams was like, oh yeah, this about to be juicy. So I want to hear from Taylor first. Taylor, you made several negative comments about us as women before we pulled the trigger. What was you talking about, Taylor?
Well, coming from a male's perspective, I was talking about how
Don't clean it up. Don't clean it up.
No, I was talking about
what you were saying before.
No, 100%. Coming from a male's perspective, I mean, I've dealt in situations like this where, yeah, you're right. The guy don't want to come home because all he hears is the negativity, the nagging, and so we try to find other things to do, like stay longer at work. We got a lot of projects, hang out with the fellas, go shopping, go, do all kinds of stuff, buy plants. I don't know, do something to occupy our time so we don't have to come to the house. And hopefully when we come to the house, she's already asleep and then we can have some peace and quiet. And the thing is, and I'm glad you said this, is because, I've always said this, there's always some truth to when you hear a common ground of people saying the same thing, right? You always hear the men complaining that, happy wife, happy life, right? And so we just try to do everything so we don't, it's not that we want to make you happy. I'm sorry to say this, but I gotta speak, and I'm not speaking for the other fellas, but I'm just speaking from me, okay? We just don't want to hear your mouth. We don't want to hear your mouth. And so when guys get together and say, hey, happy life, happy wife, happy, what is it? Happy
wife, happy life.
Yeah, it's not happy life like, whoa, everything is happy. Like, we don't want to hear that nagging. We don't want to hear your mouth. We just want to hear some peace, because we as men, we go out, right? We're breadwinners, or we're the guys that are working to support the family. Okay. So we have to deal with a lot of things that come in, it's coming at us, being a man, being in this world, being of color, what have you. And now we're going to come home to our kingdom, to our peace, our refuge. And now we got to battle that. I was going to say that beast, but I won't say that person that we're coming home to. And then there's some other stuff, but I'm going to save it. I'll stop right there.
So I'm gonna try to monitor my behavior throughout the course of this journey with these young men. So Taylor, you trying to tell me that the happy wife, happy life scenario, that's not true?
It's your mouth. We're talking about your mouth. We want peace as men. We want peace. And that nagging of things that are sometimes, you know what? And I'm just gonna say this. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just gonna speak my truth tonight, okay? And I'm not against women. I'm not targeting women. I'm just saying this conversation we're having It's coming from our perspective. And guess what? We can actually talk. You know, a lot of guys, we want to say a lot of things, but we just don't have the opportunity to talk because it's always a one-way conversation. And the conversation is not coming from our mouth. It's coming from the woman's mouth because she cannot listen. Just listen to what we have to say so we can come to a conclusion on what needs to be done. That's it. But every time a guy have a conversation with the opposite sex, the conversation is taken over from the opposite sex. That's all I'm gonna say right now until later on.
So, do you need a hug, Taylor?
I don't need a hug. I'm just saying, if women hear this all the time from men saying that, well, I can't have peace, or I'm not allowed to talk, or I can't voice my opinion because the conversation is taken over. There's some truth to it. And this conversation has been talked about over and over and over and over and over. So if it's from a majority of men, then obviously there's a little bit of truth of it. So let's talk about that truth. Let's focus there. And I'm glad that you're having this broadcast because we're talking about the truth.
So, Pastor, I'm gonna call you Jason Hendrickson. We're gonna take the pastor off because I just want to hear from the man. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Kind sir, let's take this from a coaching perspective.
Well, I think it's important that we keep in mind that we are all created to be relational. So I am not as extreme as Taylor may be.
Taylor's toxic bay. I'm telling you, he's
Yeah,
toxic bay.
because when I come home, I am the exact opposite. I'm looking to communicate, and I find oftentimes it's not the problem of a woman talking; it's what's coming out of her mouth. Because we all need to understand the need for space. We all need to understand the need for edifying and building one another. It's just timing. And most young ladies that I talk to have a problem listening, because you guys are very emotional. A lot of men are emotional as well. It's not just y'all. We're emotional as well. But I know for me, I don't mind coming home to conversation. I just don't want to come home to complaining, because men are solution driven. And if something is wrong in our relationship, I come from the perspective that anything can be fixed with one conversation if both people have resolve in mind. If you're just trying to get your rocks off and downgrade me and tell me I'm not this and I'm not that without edifying and building, because you should be able to express yourself and be able to get things off your chest as well. But at some point, y'all need to understand, I was not created to follow you. The Bible says, he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. And you are my helpmeet. I'm not your helpmeet. You're my helpmeet according to the scripture. And at some point, you have to express yourself and then stand down and follow and trust that I am that guy that you said you wanted to marry, that you said my people would become your people. You're the one that stood at the altar and said that I am the one that will lead the family. And the problem is, a lot of times when there's conflict, that's the only time men and women find out that there's no equality in relationships. It goes back to the Titanic. When crisis hits, that's the only time that men are put in the forefront without question. As soon as that iceberg hit, the cry was women and children first. Why would you want to kill the only one that's able to replenish? Because a woman and child can't replenish the earth. I can. But in a crisis, it's expected of me to sacrifice my life so that you can live. So my issue is, if I am the head in crisis, I must be the head in comfortability. And if that's not the case, then it's not us that have the issue, because women understand headship. as soon as trouble hits. If me and you are out on a date, Coffee, and Jason Williams, as big as he is, comes up and squeezes your backside, your expectation is for me to do something to him. And if I don't, I'm a punk, I'm a chump, da 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 da. But let me fall off and not make enough money. Let me lose a job. I can't pay bills a couple of months. Then that masculine energy transfers to you, and you start to talk to me like I'm not the head. So we have to get to the point where all of us understand our roles in crisis and comfortability.
All right. So, first of all, everyone, I want you all to know. Let me go ahead and pre-rec this by saying that He's not directly referring to me as it stands. Of the person that's tripping at the house. He's not really directly talking about me because I don't want nobody to be on here talking about something. Oh, he didn't tell Coffee. Oh no, he's not directly talking about me. He's talking because I'm the only woman that's present on the panel. So that's the reason why he's addressing it in that capacity. I don't want a spirit of confusion in the audience to think that I'd be acting
I don't
crazy.
think nobody thought that, Coffee. I don't think nobody thought that, but okay.
People crazy. I will believe me when I tell you, people crazy. They send me some peculiar messages after shows like, oh,
but do you agree that women understand?
I don't deny anything that has been said. I am a non-biased entity at this point, and
that's not what I asked you. I asked you, do you believe or do you agree that not some women, all women understand headship and roles and authority in a crisis?
I agree.
Thank you.
I also understand it in comfortability, sir, just so we're clear.
No, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about when things are not okay, because honor should be displayed even when I'm down, especially if I'm the type of man that has shown the potential or the ability to be up. And if I hit an iceberg, that's not a signal for you to take out your bow and arrow and shoot me and kill me. No, that's the time when you as a woman understand that there's a certain je ne sais quoi that God has given you to build a house, to build a family. That's not given to men. That's given to you. That's why the scriptures talk about a man that's willing to live on a rooftop and fight the elements than to be in a house with a brawling woman. Because you guys are atmosphere setters, your atmosphere changes. Our job is to hunt, provide, protect. Your assignment is to build.
And you're right. And I think too, and I understand the assignments. Pastor Jason, I thought we weren't gonna preach today. You're preaching.
Am I? I'm sorry.
You feel like preaching?
No, I mean, if you hit A flat, I might holler a little bit.
Go ahead, Jason.
Can't help but to be who he is.
I just wish I had Jason's voice. I got his name, but I want
that dude. I just be like, listen, Jason, look, Jason, you missed Jason Henderson, you missed, but when we have another major event, you're gonna be there. But when Jason came, everybody was like, who is he? I was like, dude, he's the voice of DFG. What's wrong with you? Yeah. He is the voice, period.
Definitely.
But no, Jahan, on a very serious note, I 100% concur with what you're saying. And I think too that a lot of times there's another challenge that's not really discussed as often, about where it comes from the perspective of guys, unfortunately, thinking that their home is some type of dictatorship. And they have a tendency to throw their weight around in a manner to where it kind of pushes someone's daughter to have issues with respect because of how he treats her as a helpmeet. Helpmeet doesn't translate into doormat, and it doesn't translate into do as I say, like you're speaking with a child. That's not what relationship is about. It's about us walking along each other side by side, shoulder to shoulder, rubbing, regardless of whether it's in good, bad, or indifferent. We're rubbing to keep that friction going, the positive friction, to keep that heat between us, to make certain that what we're doing and the destination that has been forged, the vision that has been cast for our future, it comes to pass. And there has to be a level of integrity on both ends when it comes to that. Because I mean, just watching like some people that I've been fortunate to coach, I just listen to the guy talking. I'm like, dude, that's the way that you're speaking to your mate right now. I'm only cringing at the thought of how you speak to her behind closed doors.
But you know,
And then,
Koffe, that comes when you're dealing with men that don't know their identity. Because I have no need to throw my weight around, because just me being who I am, I'm an authoritative figure, period. So I was just talking with my mom earlier, and I had to, believe it or not, I had to get my mom's together today, because she serves at my church, and sometimes, she forgets that I'm not just her pastor. I'm her son, and sometimes she gets the two confused. And so I tell her, I was like, Mom, I could see if you were dealing with someone that is egotistical and a control freak. That's not my thing. I thrive. I make a living off of communicating with people. So I want to hear your concerns and your thoughts. But it's not what you say, it's how you say what you say. If you come at me as an opponent instead of a partner, what is the objective concerning an opponent? To destroy, to defeat. So if that's how you present your argument or your problem to a man, he's automatically going to respond like that. And we all got to learn that we're in partnership together. It's how you say it that matters.
and that starts from the process of the courting phase. When you're getting to know someone, you got to pay attention to how they communicate during that time frame, because that'll tell you, it'll suggest to you how, in an escalated event, how that person is going to either react or respond. Because there's two ways to address situations: either you can be reactive or responsive. And the responsive individual takes time to process everything that has transpired before making a conscientious positive determination or how to resolve something. Someone that's reactive, they're confrontational. Somebody asked me yesterday, they said, Coffee, are you argumentative? I said, mm-mm. I said, I'm an excellent debater though. However, and I do understand how to fight fair. I said, so I definitely I'm a little clear on that part. However, if somebody is coming at me, in attack mode, I'm gonna be concerned as to why they feel they have to attack, as opposed to, just express whatever it is that they're feeling. But I told them clearly, I said, no, I don't do that arguing. I can't handle all that, because I know that on the other side of this calm, wonderful natured person, I know that I can be very aggressive, and that's regional. I was born and raised in Detroit, and just being free to speak my mind in that region, because the men respond differently than Southern men. When I came to the South, I had to make some Southern adjustments. And when I deal with men from the North, they don't have that same expectation. They understand that what I'm asserting it's not disrespectful. However, in the South, it's perceived as disrespect. So there's a whole lot of variables when it comes to relationships and understanding the dynamics of them, because every person is not going to move the same way. I could be in the room with my dad. I can say something to my dad, and my dad and I can have this intense dialogue, and somebody on the outside will be like, "Oh, you're being disrespectful." My dad like, "No, she's not. She has every right to have this conversation with me, because I opened the floor for it. I opened the dialogue for it. I want her to talk the way she talks." However, if it's another situation where there's warranted, where he's saying, "I'm giving you a directive, I'm not asking you to have a dialogue. This is a direction," then I have to digress and adhere to the direction that's given to me. So we have to know how to communicate, when to communicate, why we're communicating, what the end result is. There's so many variables when it comes to relational communication that people don't consider when it comes to relational communication. Because at the end of the day, sometimes husband is just like, this is the direction. You might not agree. Take it to Jesus. Don't fuss with me.
But that's
Okay.
necessary at some time.
It is. It's true. Take it to
And
Jesus. Don't fuss with me.
and most alpha men, I'm not talking about beta men, I'm talking about alpha men will not remain in a space where they don't have influence.
True.
Because if I don't have influence, I'm not needed. And that's the thing, that from the beginning of time, women that have been successful dealing with men have been more psychological than physical.
True.
And that's the thing, that most women, especially in this generation, they lead with their physicality rather than their mind. And the thing is that if you're going to deal with an alpha male, you must, it's a non-negotiable. You must allow me to feel that I have influence and a voice. And the day that I lose those two, you lose me.
That's
Because
true.
I will only remain where I'm needed, because I'm made in the image of God. And God only inhabits or dwells where there's praise, where there's a need for him.
That's
So
true.
that I just gave women, all the women that's watching, I just gave you the golden key to how to keep a man. Make
And
sure
and,
your man
and you
always feel
know,
needed and influenced.
every alpha man is not wired the same either. Every woman, I tell women, you have to learn your man to earn your man. And you need to know that specific man, because what I could have done with this particular alpha man, it's not going to be acceptable with that man. He might have no tolerance for the same thing that my prior partner was good with. So we have to learn. You got to learn your man to earn your man. You got to be his student. You have to become his pupil. Because if not, and you don't take the initiative to earn him, you don't know how to respond to him. So if you don't know how to respond to him, a lot of chaos and calamity and confusion can be a result of that, because you have not taken the initiative to be that man's student. You have got to learn to be his student, like his greatest pupil, to identify what makes him tick, what is offensive, what is acceptable, what is going to happen when he's under this kind of stress. And there's all these different types of stressors that happen in life as well. When he experiences this type of pressure, how is he going to respond? And you have to pay attention, and you have to take mental notes so that you can be clear. And then you can also know if you're respecting a man by how he responds to whatever your need is. Respect shows up in how he delivers the resolve for your need. When a guy knows what your need is, he's solving that need, and continuously solving that need, making certain that need is always filled, has a whole lot to do with how you have shown respect to him. Jason Williams, come on, hop in to the dialogue tonight. So, what is your thoughts about how respect looks in a relationship?
You all have said so much. There's not a whole lot to say, but I think the best thing for me to do is to define respect. Because as you stated earlier, respect for me may be different than it is for Taylor. It may be different than it is for Hendrickson. Um, so what is respect? And for the women that are listening, as Koffe said, you definitely need to study the man that you're with, because what he considers respect, you need to know if you're going to be that woman or that man. And the reason why I can say that is because, and I'm going to the Bible just a bit. When you look at Adam and Eve, Eve was able to cause Adam to forget what God told him. That's a big deal. God told you don't eat of that tree, but because of Eve, you were willing to give up something for a moment. Wrong as it was, you were willing to give that up for the moment. So clearly she had a way of speaking to him that made him react. A lot of times, as it has already been stated, women choose either the wrong voice or the wrong time. And that's 90% of the issue. The wrong voice or the wrong time. You have the ability as a woman to literally affect how your man thinks, how he moves. Most, and I'm not saying all, but most great men have a great woman by his side. And most of those great women were very strong, were leaders within themselves. There are a lot of men who really became great because their wives were great. And they knew how to talk to this man and make him make certain moves that changed their whole trajectory. Because you can find that in history all over the place. The problem in respect is, first of all, like I said, you need to know what level of respect does your man require, and be willing to submit to that level of respect. And I know the word submission throws every woman into a hissy fit, and they're like, oh, no, you got to give me something to submit to. And I understand that. I really do. I really do.
Well, if we vet probably properly, it wouldn't be a question of something to submit to.
Right. It wouldn't. Because if you stood before God and a group of people and said, I vow to, clearly you felt like this was the dude I could submit to.
Absolutely.
And if he wasn't, then why'd you do it?
Period.
Clearly you didn't do your homework. But if you're in the dating phase, the get to know phase, Jason said it earlier when he said, the Bible says when you find a wife, you found a good thing and you found favor with God, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't become a wife after you get married.
Facts.
The Bible says when you find a wife. So clearly, if I'm finding you, you were wife material before I got married.
True.
That's 90% of the problem. Because most brothers ain't finding a wife. And some women aren't presenting as a wife. They're presenting girlfriend. And you're taking that as, well, she's okay right here. I tell cats all the time, especially when I'm dealing with somebody that's thinking about getting married and jumping into that arena. I'm like, are you ready to love her like Christ loved the church? Are you willing to give your life for her? And vice versa. Are you willing, for the wife, are you willing to follow him regardless of what happens? What if he makes a bad decision and it causes y'all to falter a little bit? Are you going to walk away? Or are you going to stand there and say, look, I stood up for this. I'm going to help him get back up. If y'all aren't at that level, y'all got some time on your hands still. Or you might need to just walk away. Because at the end of the day, there's some levels of respect we both have to give. But the Bible says the man should love his wife like Christ loved the church. And it's funny how the Bible doesn't say that the woman should love her husband.
No, we don't have no issue with love. We got issue with respect.
Right, because y'all have no issue with love.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is with respect. And God knew that.
Mm-hmm.
The issue isn't with love. Y'all will love that man to life, literally, when you truly love a man. The problem is being able to control your emotions enough. That's why I believe the Bible says that the woman is the weaker vessel, not because she can't do what a man does, but she's less likely to control her emotions, which causes her to sometimes step into arenas that she can't get out of by herself because now her emotions have pushed her into something. And usually, and this is just my personal experience, so don't nobody jump on me later, but usually, then she's looking like, oh, can you help me get out of this? Because I didn't mean to go this far. No, you didn't. But your emotions took you so far. Now you need help getting out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just leaving right there.
And it's very words. People don't really realize how penetrable words are. I heard a lady that was in passing. She said something to her husband that was kind of like real crashed. And I was like, ooh. And I was just standing there cringing. And I'm like an outsider. I don't know this lady. I don't know her husband. I'm just like, ooh, I was kind of cringing, like, ooh, man. And I think the reason why I really cringed is because it was in a public setting. I'm not sure what warranted her saying what she said, But I do understand one thing. Sometimes when you have a debate with your husband and things get a little hairy, please don't let that be in public. Don't let that be in public. You're gonna have to bite your whole tongue off sometimes if necessary, if you cannot, if it's something that you like really near and dear to your heart and it's like a pain hitting kind of concept. Because sometimes men will say something in a moment for a result that they're looking for immediately, and it can be very piercing because of how he said it in that moment. However, you can't respond right then. And that's what that lady did. I don't know what the husband's, he said something that warranted that, her response, her reaction rather. However, in public, it really, she just kind of needed to just woosah when he said what he said. Because I could tell from what he was saying, he said it kind of quiet, but whatever it was, it offended her. And instead of her kind of just chilling for a second, saying, "Oh, he okay, all right," or just kind of wading the water for a minute, she just popped off. And all I could think to myself was like, "Ooh." Now, it wasn't what he said, it was the pop off, because now he's gonna have some, it's gonna be something that he gonna think about as to what she said to him in a public setting. He gonna say something later like, "Oh, you could have said what you said at the house, not in some public setting where you got all these other people who hear it." Now that's a, not only is it disrespect, now it's a dishonor thing. Now you're not honoring me. You're not only not respecting me, you're not honoring me. And so it just looked, I mean, it was one of those moments where I was like, "Oh, like I could feel it," and I'm just a bystander. So I can imagine how that woman felt. However, we have to discipline ourselves to say, "All right, babe," and wait for an opportunity. And sometimes it's just a matter of petitioning God about a certain thing. Sometimes it doesn't warrant saying anything. Your words might not hold any weight for a particular topic in your husband's life. Some topics are literally, you got to go to knee bone school, like my mom used to say. "Taylor, hop in because I see your wheels spinning in your head. You ain't saying nothing, but they spinning inside your head."
You know me so well. I, you know, I want to get back to a point that you made, that how, I mean, you have to vet the person. And that's the thing. We're not even vetting people. We're going after things, we're going after materialistic things, we're going after things that, he got a nice body or she got a nice body. We're going after these other things than really getting to know each other. Or we on these apps that swiping right and swiping left because she looks good and what have you, and I want to sleep with you on a first date and I want to get with you and all this stuff. And then when you find yourself in these situations, i.e., you're pregnant, i.e., you got to get married because you in the church and what have you don't even like each other. Technically, you really don't like each other. And so now when you're in this situation and this man is telling you, "Hey, babe, we need to save," you're like, "Who you talking to? Who we need to save? I got my own money." It's just a whole mess, right? And so like I said, there's different facet of this conversation, but I'm coming from an angle where there is chaos, because that's the area that I deal with. There's chaos at hand, right? And so my thing is this: first of all, you're vetted wrong, number one. Number two, you're going after the wrong things, so the respect is not there. Not only that, you probably don't even respect your family, because there's telltale signs that you can see before talking to somebody. "Oh, I like her, she's a little fiery." Well, if she's a little fiery when you just getting to know her, don't you think when there's an issue, she's gonna be a fireball? You know what I'm saying? I always said this to the two Jasons. You know how when you in the church and what have you, Christian, you trying to find your Christian woman, and you find an evangelist and she's just hooping and hollering. You know what I always say? That same evangelist that's hooping and hollering, imagine when a situation pop off at the house. You think she gonna come and say, "Well, bless the Lord"? She gonna be hooping and hollering in your ear. So
That's a good one.
you think like she's the same. That's her character. That's her personality, right? And so we got to look at different personalities when we get into know somebody. You
That's
know,
true.
for me, who I am now, I'm like this all the time, right? I am that fire. You know, like how some women are fiery. Well, I'm the man that's fiery. I do, like Jason, I do like to talk. I like to conversate, but I go toe to toe with you too. I'm just letting you know I ain't holding it back. So if you're going to deal with somebody like me, you should already know Taylor's not going to hold it back. He's going to speak bluntly to you. And if you can't handle that kind of personality, then don't deal with me. Plain and simple, don't deal with the people that have that personality. Because at the end of the day, when the chaos do happen, when the difficult conversation do happen, just like people talk and I'm gonna say this, just like the reverse. Oh, you know, he's quiet or she's quiet, you know, she's humble, she's quiet. And then when it comes time to talk about difficult situation, there's no conversation because she was quiet all her life. That's just who she is. And now she's quiet. But this conversation, we're talking about the mouthpiece that just keeps going. Is like an energizer battery. It just keeps going and going and going. And there's no listening at all. There's no listening. And one thing that I do love about how things are going now is that men do have there are platforms that's giving a man a voice. I really love that, and really listening to to a man's heart, to their thinking, to their minds. But like I said, man, these people, they're just jumping in relationships. They don't really like the man. They're just there to get whatever they wanted to get. Maybe they just wanted to be married, right? But they ain't thinking about no listening to no man and following him down, no pasture or nothing like that. And then we see it in these relationships.
Jason Henderson, check your phone.
Yes. Okay.
But I know you got something you want to say. I can see it in your eye.
No, no. I'm just again, I can only speak for myself. I'm at a different space in my life right now where I am actually longing for that partnership with a woman. You know what I mean? Where I understand the necessity of that. But I think my brother Rashid brought it up. The feminist movement is what caused a lot of this chaos that Taylor's talking about. And that's because the big scheme was to eliminate the man out of the household. And when a man is absent, a woman, because you guys are problem solvers, will automatically adapt into that masculine energy, because that's what it's really about. It's just about energy. But once you have a man that has given you a track record of responsibility, not perfection. Let me say that again slow. A man that has given you a track record of responsibility, not perfection. At what point is the respect earned? At what point do you say, you know what? His good outweighs his bad. At what point do you understand, as a woman, like Jason so eloquently put it, you possess a certain ability to even make me go against God based on what you say. And a woman that knows that and is irresponsible with that influence is the most dangerous woman on the planet, because you have the ability, just with your words. Delilah never slept with Samson, never opened her legs to him. She just spoke to him and laid him in her lap and spoke to him. And she was able to convince him to break a covenant with God based on her words, not her physicality again. So I got to take it back there, that at what point do we throw up the white flags? Because you're not my enemy. I'm not, I don't know about nobody else, but I'm not looking to walk around and be like, I'm the man. Shut your mouth. Sit down. Like, who? If you dealing with a man like that, he's corny, number one. Mm-hmm. You don't know how to pick a man, number two. And you were probably moving out of your flesh and not your intelligence, because a lot of women are just grabbing guys because their biological clock is ticking. But I would rather be by myself than to be in a partnership with the wrong person. Because what begins to happen is I begin to build, and I begin to build up this wall relationally, that if and when I remove that person that's not healthy for me, I don't even know how to receive proper love now. I don't even know how to receive proper partnership, because I'm so used to being looked at as somebody that has to constantly earn. And I saw somebody put it in there, a man that want to be respected got to earn respect. At what point, how much do I have to do to earn your respect? At what point do you say, you know what, he's not perfect, but he's something that I can work with. He's an individual that I can take my influence as a woman and build something substantial with him, instead of just always tearing him down and telling him what he's not, and reminding him of his past mistakes, and talking to him out of, calling him out of his name and all that. How much of that? And I'll give you this, then I'm going to be quiet. Let me tell y'all what happened when David went and recovered the Ark of the Covenant, because this is Bible what I'm giving y'all. The Bible says that David was so excited. He was dancing. He danced out his clothes. And you know who was mocking him in the window, looking at him like he was stupid, looking at him like he was making a clown, a fool of himself? His wife. The one that should have partnered with him. After all, he killed the giant to get your hand. Let me tell you something, all the grown men were scared of Goliath. You mean to tell me David didn't earn Michelle's respect by killing something that every grown man in the city was afraid of? So if I'm making myself look like a fool, I'm going to look down if I'm Michelle and say, you know what, David is crazy, but I'm not going to embarrass him. I'm going to wait till he get up here and say, fool, why would you do that? But you know what she did? She mocked him and made a fool of him in public. And then you know what happened? The woman in the city, the other woman that saw David kill Goliath, that saw David defeat all these other enemies, started singing a song about David. Saul has slain his thousands, but David has slain his 10,000s. And then you get mad when my attention is turned to the woman that is singing about me, rather than me coming home being faithful to the one that's killing me from the window of my house. I'll leave it there.
I feel, Jason Hendrickson, first Taylor needed a hug. Do you need a hug, Jason?
No, I don't need a hug, but I'm just trying to help y'all understand that you cannot, again, it's always, when you're a man, you're always in the pursuit of earning something that should be automatically given after I've proven. I proved to you and your father, Michelle, that I am a fearless warrior. I stepped up and cut this Negro's head off when all the grown men that were soldiers, I wasn't no soldier, I was a shepherd boy. They were all shook. And I stood up and killed what was defying our whole city. Have I not earned your respect, sis? What more do I got to do? And then you getting upset because these other females are looking at me and saying, you are great. You are a warrior. You are our champion. You are amazing. You cannot get mad when all you do is criticize and other women praise.
That's true.
Because guess who's going to get guess who's going to get your man's attention? I don't care how saved he was, because David was a man after God's own heart. And you can't tell me he ain't feel no sort of way listening to his wife or her crazy self in the window talk crazy about him while all these other pretty young things is singing, oh God, you're so amazing, David. You slay. It even got Saul mad. Saul said, now hold it. This guy is getting the attention that I want. And he's the one that told David to kill Goliath.
Sure.
So I can't win from the leader that I got because he's afraid of my greatness. I can't get no praise at home because she's intimidated by my greatness. Where do great men go, Koffe? That's all I want to know. Where do we go?
Where did they go? Where did they go?
Where do we go?
I almost started singing a Whitney Houston song. Where do broken hearts go?
That's one of my favorite songs. Want me to hit it for you? Where do broken hearts?
No, listen, that's not your genre, my love. You know, you are an amazing vocalist, but not for that song.
Do they find their way home back to the open arms?
They got to earn respect. How come they don't have to? How come women don't feel like they got to earn provision? If we got to earn respect, why don't women have to feel like they have to earn love? I'm supposed to give that before I even get into the relationship with you good. You got to see that from the beginning, even for me to take you out. So then should I be seeing the respect?
My Lord.
But why did she say yes?
Right.
Isn't there already like, I chose you and you said yes. So what other respect we need to earn?
Right.
Anyway.
Why do we have to always earn everything? It's like what Chris Rock said. The men is the only persons on earth that have to prove everything. We have to prove everything. We have to prove we can provide. We have to prove we can do this. We have to prove we can do that before someone says, "Oh, you are good." But a woman just says, "I show up." What do you bring to the table? Me.
And at the end of the day, how much money you make, all of your accomplishments don't mean anything to us because the expectation is for me to provide for you. That's what we've been taught. When the truth of the matter is, if you have succeeded and got degrees and making six figures and I'm doing the same, what would happen if the culture trained us and taught us to come together in partnership? To cover, because what we got to start teaching, anything not covered will spoil.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what we're taught, especially in the Black church, that you are your woman's covering. Well, what about me?
Right.
I need covering too. You know why? Because I'm in a homosexual dominated area. As an alpha male, there's 9 women to 1 alpha straight male in church in the world now. Do you honestly think that you're the only one that sees what I am, who I am? I need to be covered, because if I'm not covered, there's some other young ladies out there that's going to say, you know what? I could do something with that BMW, with that black man that's working it. I can do, and they're going to just start scheming and plotting. And your presence and partnership and agreement shuts down 90% of the issues that my lack of discipline can't. Because until a man matriculates to a certain age, being chased by a woman, that's a fun thing. Like for me at this point, it's like whatever, you know, I get hit on all the time. It's nothing. I get on by older women, younger women. It's no big deal. That's not something that I gotta pray about anymore, because I'm disciplined enough to say I don't have to do that, because I've been doing that since I was 12. So that's no big deal. But what blows my mind is when I run into somebody that actually allows me to forecast. Because you know how powerful a weatherman is? That's what we are. A weatherman can come on the news tonight and change your whole plan for the rest of the week.
That's true.
Because you trust his forecast.
True.
That's all we want as men. Somebody that trusts my forecast. And you know what? Sometimes the weatherman tells you it's going to snow, and he's 1,000% wrong, but you still go back and watch him the next day.
That's true.
Why don't we get that same thing? Because I may forecast and I may be wrong, but if I was right before, I will be right again.
Again, that's
I
true.
just need somebody to cover me when I am wrong.
I think they want the perks and everything that comes with it and erase the man. But I ain't gonna say nothing.
I think that's gonna be my new hoodie, Taylor. I'm a weatherman. Will you order that coffee? Will you buy that for some of the brothers?
I will buy the sweatshirt and I will wear the hat and everything and say that my man is a predictor of the future. I'll
Look,
wear it.
look,
Yeah.
Coffee will buy all the stuff and not have the man. Where's the man? Coffee.
What you mean? Why you feel like I
No,
don't have no man?
no, because you said I'll buy the shirt, I'll buy the hat, I'll buy all this stuff.
Well, I mean, he asked me about supporting the cause, and I'm here to support the
Oh, okay.
cause. So I don't know why you turned it into something else, Taylor.
No, I'm not. I'm just
All I'm saying is I'm a weatherman.
You are a weatherman. I love what you said. It's very true. It's an accurate statement. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense because you're right. We have a. This must be your brother because he is over here. I can tell.
That's my dad. That's my
That's
dad.
your father?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
your
my
fault.
dad.
Okay.
Oh my gosh! Hey, pops.
My hero. What up, Pop? That's my
That's your
hero right
dad.
there.
That's your dad for real?
That's where I learned all this from. Yeah, my pops. That's my dad.
Oh wow! Hey, dad. All
Yep.
right. Okay. Wow. But man, you kind of threw me off when it was dad. I didn't know that. I thought that was your brother all this time.
Nah, that's
Okay,
my pops. Yep.
that's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, it is 9 o'clock. I know you guys know that this is not over.
Oh
It's
no, that is my
no.
brother. There go my father. My
that's your
father is there.
okay.
That's my
Okay.
brother.
That's what I thought. Because I was like,
Larry is my dad. There you
oh
go.
hey,
That's my
Larry
brother.
Hendrickson.
Yeah.
Hi. I was like, I know that's not your okay. And listen, I didn't want to correct you because you're the weatherman. So
Touche, Coffee. Touche.
Great representation. You played that perfectly. You
hey,
played
You
that
did.
perfectly. And you said what you had to say and it wasn't offensive. We could all laugh
Yeah,
about it and
we can
joke
laugh.
about it. See, that was the perfect example of how to deal with a brother.
you see
Because
what I
sometimes
did?
I'm wrong.
You see what I
Right.
did? And
Respect.
I knew the weather was wrong, but I wasn't gonna say you. That's why I kept looking like, is that his dad for real? That's why I said. It's okay though. I know how to respect a man.
We thank God for you, Coffee. We thank God for
Well,
you.
I mean, I have learned. I'll be very honest with you guys. When I was younger, my dad and we had a real serious like strain when I was much younger. And what I realized, I think I was woke up like out of my sleep one night and all I heard was your dad is still your dad, regardless of whether you agree or disagree. That's your father. So
Mhm.
you're gonna have to call him when the sun come up and apologize. And remember, whenever you're talking with your father, that that's still your father, regardless of how you feel about what it is that he's saying. That's your dad. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's nothing else to say. So I remember now, like my dad, he'll say stuff and it'll be very offensive because he does that from time to time. And I'll say, all right, dad, well, I will talk to you later. I love you and I honor you and I will talk with you later, dad. I gotta go take care of blah 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 because now my little feelings are hurt, but I'm not gonna sit up there and go back and forth with my dad because he my dad. So sometimes, and I said that to say this as a wife, sometimes it's just a matter of you saying, I'm not going back and forth with my husband. He's my husband, period. And at the end of the day, I never want my husband to feel like he can't crawl up in my lap because I need him to be able to crawl up in my lap. Whether I like what he did or not or said, I still want him to be reminded that my lap is the safe space where he resides, and I'm not going to betray that under no circumstances. So whether
Hey,
I
Coffee.
like what he said or didn't like it, I'm gonna chill.
Hey, Coffee. All my friends are texting me. What's the weather, Pastor?
We waiting on the weather now.
Let me
Listen
tell you
here,
something. Oh
forecast.
God,
Since you
that is so funny.
forecasting, I need you, Pastor Hendrickson, before midnight. I need you to go ahead and post the weather on social media so we'll know what the weather's gonna be tomorrow.
It's gonna be cold. Gonna be cold for some of y'all. It's gonna be real cold.
For some, it's gonna be cold, and for some of us, it's gonna be very, very hot.
Very hot. Very hot. I love it. Very hot.
Taylor want the heat.
Yeah, Taylor want all the smoke. I see him.
I want the
Taylor
heat, and I want
wants
that too. The
Taylor
weatherman.
wants the heat,
That.
man. Taylor gonna hold on to that for the rest of his life. He like, what? We
As
weatherman?
he should. As he
He's
should.
like, wait a minute, we weatherman?
Yes, we are.
I'm forecasting now.
Period.
Period.
So, guys, we do have some amazing publications that coincide with this conversation. One is called The Race to the Ring, The 7 C's of a Successful Courtship. The other is called Why He Married Her and Played Me. Phenomenal publications. You can grab them from Jason Williams, Jason Hendrickson, or from myself, but I would rather you grab them from the fellas to utilize those tools in your tool belt, ladies, to make certain that you are of more value to that amazing man you've been blessed with. And of course, Taylor's gonna end up writing some stuff with us. I got a book idea from talking to y'all tonight. So like I'm over here thinking I'm about to get another set of men together and we finna turn up again.
That's gonna be good.
Yeah, we about to turn up again.
That's gonna be good.
I mean, like I just got a whole book idea messing with Pastor Hendrickson over here. So y'all know how I do.
I need my credit and my checks. Praise the Lord.
Listen, I mean, we can publish it under your brand. It don't matter to me. I ain't got no problem with it because I was like, oh, I just had a whole epiphany when he said something, but I can't say what he said. That's make me turn it to a book. I can't say specifically what.
Come on, I'm waiting for you to come on and say it. So I got you on tape.
You already know I'm smarter than the average bear, so I'm not gonna do that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So again, thank you everybody for joining us tonight, for tuning in and tapping in. We're gonna finish this out. I saw some other brethren in the audience that we are gonna ask to step up to the plate and come kick it with us for another session of the hot seat. This is a very important discussion that we're having. We want to succeed in relationships and we're not doing a good job. So we need to figure out how to do a good job in being relational and making certain that we exist as man and wife until we depart natural life, period. So there has to be a way to do that because the word of God, his word is never coming back void. He didn't lie about marriage. We are here as representatives, and because we are, it's a way that we can do this and we can manifest and we can have amazing relationships. All right, y'all. So it's the top of the hour. We're about 5 minutes over the broadcast tonight for this session, but I appreciate you guys tapping in and tuning in. Be sure to connect with all of these amazing men on this evening that grace the stage of the show, and check us out every single Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, grace, peace, and blessings be unto every person in their household. And we'll see you guys again for another edition of the Hot Seat. Good night.
Later.